Review the documentation that I just captured. I captured video, first of all, of the same exact pattern of conduct. This pattern of conduct is the targeting behavior. First of all, it's demonic, the methods of targeting. They are occurring outside of what can naturally occur, with regard to light activity, the shadow appearing above your head. That's impossible. Okay, when I'm showing you what is absolutely impossible to ever naturally occur, I'm showing you what is demonic. Okay, and this is underway while a stalking criminal surveillance system is underway through these demonic methods, which reveal a targeting system. You are being targeted by virtue of this environment surrounding you. The environment is not only physical with what you can see, the environment is also audible with what you can hear. And that which is impossible to hear. This is what I'm continuously showing the demons of the LAPD are engaging in. So when I stepped outside at 2:09, I captured video of what is targeting, and you're looking at the distance that this airplane is from me, which has nothing to do with crossing path. This is crossing path conduct. The entity is feigning and failing. Okay, you are crossing path whether you can, if you can see it, they're crossing path with you. Okay, they're group stalking. Second of all, the entity is engaging in what is targeting. You're paying attention. This is common sense at that distance, which is why I'm glad the demons engage in that. They are both failing at understanding how they're going to be prosecuted, and the very specific demonic pattern of conduct that is well understood. And I'm going to articulate it clearly so that everybody else can understand what Satan is doing. Wanting to appear far away. Okay. That's fine. We can all agree. You're looking at something that's at a great distance, but then you have the equally amplified sound. That is impossible, and the two are not occurring naturally. Okay? The sound and then the visible appearance to be far away. This is how you are recognizing what is targeting. And the demon possessed. Okay, so I'll refer to the entity, but I want to be clear. The public entity is a demon-possessed entity. I am talking about the state of California is a public entity, and the state of California is group stalking. It is both the public entity that's engaged in a matter of public corruption, and this matter of public corruption is exposing demonic activity that's occurring in the state of California. Follow me as I go, okay? So the demon possessed, they like to outwardly appear as though they're off. I'm flying a plane. I'm minding my business, not worried about, I don't even know who the target, I don't even see the target individual. This is everything that you're supposed to be thinking when you see a plane that's far off. This is what you're supposed to be thinking when you're looking at someone that's, for example, walking next or walking in front of me, and they're not talking to you. They don't recognize you. You don't know them. Okay. That has nothing to do with what is group stalking. It's a system occurring by a population. All of them are of the same condition. They're all demons. They are all, by the way, in the spirit. They're all familiar with the target individual. This is demonic activity. This is spiritual, what's going on. In the natural, you're looking at people in the natural that don't know each other personally. That's legally irrelevant. And this is the ability to criminalize what is not required based on group stalking. There is no personal relationship required with group stalking. That's the malice of the system. It's the malice of the government system, and the government needs the people of the state, and that includes company names, any means of engaging in that system to maintain presence, to maintain activity. And the state is directly engaged in that activity and that presence, and it's all occurring in a very specific environment. In fact, that presence and that activity creation that both the state is engaging in directly and vicariously in reference to the people of the state is the maintenance of a specific environment. In other words, as the amplified audible activity is created, it is maintaining a very specific environment. As I move anywhere, you'll have somebody that is in the path creating what is some method of light while they're present in the path, whether that's by driving up or down Alvarado Street, whether that's by driving onto the property, such as Nova Contractors, while I'm walking around out of my office to the laundry room, as you saw on video, whether it's walking out of my apartment down to my office to start the day, and you've got a group stalker that's in the parking lot with their headlights on, or driving onto the property, driving off of the property, whatever iteration that it takes, somebody is crossing path with some method of light activity. Okay, it's typically occurring in a manner that is digestible, palatable to the ordinary untrained eye, and that is in traffic, using a vehicle, just driving by with a car. Light activity. How's it occurring on a massive scale? It's really, really highlighted to you because we all know that that's the light source and not the sun. Okay, everybody's creating light activity under the light source. Everybody's creating light activity in the engineered light. Everybody's group stalking and clearly monitoring when I'm showing you the engineer light on my ceiling, magnified in size in the depths of my apartment, in my office, when it's stretching underneath a covered structure into the depths of my office, through the doorway. Okay, walking in like I walk in, light? No, that's P.O.C. That's demonic. It's impossible. It is the mark of what are group stalkers that are demon possessed. Let me be clear. Demon possession and group stalking are hand in hand. You already know one that is group stalking is a demon possessed person. The state of California is group stalking. The state of California is a group stalker. Being a group stalker, by the way, is a sex offender. California is going to make history as being prosecuted as a violent sex offender. Okay, that's what group stalking is. It's a violent sex offense. All the ways in which the target individual is violated by a whole population. This is underway by a government. And it's going to be prosecuted like any other sex offender would be prosecuted. It's not going to be exempt. It's not going to be accepted. It's not going to be overlooked. It's not going to be just, non-addressed because it's the government. Oh, to the contrary, it's going to be heavily prosecuted and literally itemized all the methods of sexual violence and all the sexually violent methods of violating someone. A stalker that has no right to touch you. You are being touched by virtue of the light activity while a group stalker is crossing path. So you're going to be held liable for that sexual violence that somebody that has a right to not be subject to, you're stalking them, okay, with the light activity. And Lucy Santos is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender living at a crime scene, 24-hour maintenance of engineer light, including inside of my private space. You live at the property. You are delusional if you think you're evading that prosecution. And let me be clear, I've shown you all the ways in which this demon-possessed entity is very delusional. Okay, so there's a large reality check that's going to be dropped on this entity in federal court. All right, so first of all, the entity is targeting through the plane activity. You're looking at the distance, and I'm walking out and I'm showing you what is impossible for me to hear. So I am not standing outside with binoculars waiting for a plane to cross by. And then I'm let me grab my camera and get it now and trying to establish the fact that I'm being targeted by planes and helicopters. And if that were the case a long time ago, there's no way that I would be able to maintain consistent evidence for such a prolonged period of time. I do not have control over the environment. I can't put a sun above me. I can't put the engineer light above me. I'm clearly holding the camera. You can clearly see my shadow. I can't make that up. I don't have any pixie dust there. These are things that are outside of my control. And I'm also not doing something as pathetic like these group stalkers are, as waiting for a plane to cross path with me and then stating, oh, here comes a plane. They're stalking me again. No, I'm not doing that. That's pathetic. But just to let me be clear, I don't have to make any of this up, and I don't find it to be a compliment that I am so important to a police department, that I am so important to people whose name I don't even know them, and they're engaging in an identical pattern showing the fact that they're demon possessed and they equally are obsessed and are stalking in the shoes of a government that's maintaining a criminal system of surveillance. So while I'm walking out of my office at 2:09 p.m., you're looking at the same exact elements of monitoring while I'm showing you what is an airplane that's appearing at a distance, and it doesn't take me 5 minutes to step out of my office with my camera in tote and capture video. I do it very quickly. I always start my camera. You see me walk out of the office. And by the way, this is not my first rodeo. I've been documenting the state for years. My camera is my weapon, okay? And I keep it on my person and I'm always ready, okay? So I move very quickly, in other words. And you were not over my office and then 2 seconds later at that distance. First of all, number one. Number two, you are looking at what is the distance and then the impossible occurrence that I can hear that plane while I'm inside of my office while the entity wants to appear at a great distance, as though that's suggesting that the target individual is imagining it. And again, outside of the pattern of conduct, which is a body of evidence that is reaching beyond a reasonable doubt, the prosecution of a government that's monitoring. And monitoring, first of all, is demonic activity. This is speaking to the demented mind state, the mental illness, if you will, of that public entity, not the target individual. Criminal defamation is within the pattern of conduct. The entity is targeting you and targeting you through demonic methods, and it is designed to falsely depict that targeted individual as suffering from some mental illness. So these are demons. This is Satan itself that's targeting someone. And Satan is using people to target that person. And Satan is using, I want to be clear, Access LA. This is nothing other than a means of identifying a commercial brand, nothing other than a logo. That's it. Okay, you have a person that's driving that vehicle with the logo on it. You have a person that is flying that airplane that's at a great distance, and you have the demonic underway. And so this is the significance of the two videos that I captured, and I had to break them apart because for some odd reason when I was zooming in, for whatever, it got my face, and I don't need to be in the video, so I took that out. But the element of amplification, this is the demonic feature. While it is inevitable crossing a path, it doesn't matter what distance that they're at. Like I said, it's more than Alvarado Gardens that's group stalking. Everybody on that hillside is living in the path. Federal group stalking and monitoring is a state system, and I've shown how the environment is literally following me everywhere that I go, and that is not the figment of the imagination of the targeted individual. It's a matter of direct evidence. This is how you have on March 22nd, 2022, the light source that's over my head in the presence of the demon-possessed agency, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. And on that day where I came nowhere near Los Angeles and Alvarado Gardens, I get on Route 61 from Pomona Transit Center, and street for street, turn for turn, every turn that bus makes, that light source remains over my head for the duration of that bus ride, and remains over me as I go to Fontana, California, where it remains over my head en route to the Fontana the Fontana Lewis Library. It's not over the Fontana Lewis Library, which is what the natural environment would have provided. No, it remains over me for the duration of my travel to that destination of the Fontana Lewis Library, which is documenting a whole state while I'm documenting that. That's not the sun that's over me, and it's also exposing who are demons and who are stalking while that state system is underway. And it includes the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Okay, the entity is maintaining a light source now while I'm living and working in Los Angeles, and that is very exclusive because I stay at one address all day long, and you're understanding how a system is in operation. And one of the demonic features is amplification of audible activity in the specific environment, which is serving to both maintain the specific environment, and it's occurring because somebody's stalking in relevant position. Somebody's stalking, in addition to that stalker that's in the plane crossing path. Okay, this is exactly what LAPD is doing over and over and over again. So I showed it through the use of, you can change the method, same exact elements, same exact demonic features, amplification. Okay, I cannot hear that plane inside of my office if there were not amplification. Okay, that's impossible that I would hear it. Okay, the entity's doing the same thing at all times a day. I step out, that's amplification as I'm capturing. You're looking at the distance, and I'm letting you know that it's amplified in volume inside of my office. First of all, that demonic feature is letting you know that it's group stalking, prima facie, okay? This is the specific environment. The light source documented all hours of the day, rising and setting. The prima facie is already established. Like I said, Lucy Santos's federal prosecution is already secure. This is not something that I'm still, trying to establish. That's not what's going on here. That's not what's going on here. The entity is in maintaining the elements of monitoring. In this video, which I'm going to play now, I'm going to show you what was the first half of the P.O.C., the second half of the P.O.C. And while I am surrounded by it, all of the population is monitoring together. I'm showing you what's happening in the immediate environment around me. Okay. And while I'm capturing this amplification, I'm being surrounded with this audible activity for a criminal purpose because somebody's stalking, and that somebody is captured on the opposite side of my person, immediately beginning audible activity. Okay, so this is what I want to show you first. All right, amplifying plane. Sorry. Okay, and the plane activity, this is the same exact pattern of conduct using an airplane for purposes of crossing a path and targeting with the amplifier. So first of all, as I'm stepping out and I'm capturing video, do you notice how you don't hear anything? You hear my voice, but you don't hear any plane activity? Okay, so this is an entity that's engaging in targeting. This is not working, though. This is the malice of the demon-possessed entity. This is unpersuasive, and it's ineffective, and it's not working. Okay, so you have an ongoing consistency. I'm capturing stalking, clearly stalking. Stalking is following, stalking is remaining, okay? That's what surveillance is also when you are also an entity that is the government, law enforcement agencies, and that law enforcement agency is still monitoring while the same exact pattern of conduct is underway through a different face or a different means, if you will, a plane instead of a helicopter that you're seeing, okay? Because they're still stalking in helicopters outside of what I'm capturing on this video right now. Understand, all of the entity is at work when I'm just capturing one iteration after another of the same exact pattern of conduct. But I want you to pay attention. You don't hear any plane activity. But inside of my office, which is what prompted me to start my video, I'm showing you the great distance of this plane, and the entity is targeting, the entity is creating audible activity of the sound of a plane. You are understanding the fact that it's targeting. Targeting is the conclusion. That's why I won't include it in that preceding statement. You are concluding that it is targeting because of the fact that it is impossible to hear the plane activity at this distance, which you can see with your own eyes. And I'm consistently showing you that pattern. Okay, so this is the same conduct that the entity is doing via helicopter. This is what all the demons of Dominic Choi's Los Angeles Police Department are doing, and they're still doing it while nothing other than a plane is the method this time. And I'll also let you know that that's deliberate because the entity knows that I'm getting up and documenting the LAPD, thinking that I'm not going to get up because it's plane activity the next time. No, it's the same method, and I will remain a wild card in that regard. And the entity should never have any confidence with what it thinks I'm going to go after and what it's not sure I will go after. Going after this video for documentation, the entity, and by the way, I don't have to go after anything. The prosecution is already sure. I want to let you know, I want you to show what's a consistent pattern. At this point, it's just teaching, okay? The prosecution is already done. I want to let you know it's already secure. Dominic Choi is already fired. He's living in something which he hasn't realized yet, and his exposure as his condition. I'm not only going to prosecute, I'm also exposing demonic activity in the state of California and its domestic terrorism in America. Okay, and this demonic entity is preparing and exacting war. Okay, and this is this is actually of a spiritual nature. I'm showing you what is the intersection of what is spiritual and occurring in the natural, and it's very deceptive. So this is the ability to open your eyes and wake up to what is actually going on around you. Okay, and there is no exception to that. Those that seek to arm some exception because I hold this position, or I look like this, or I make this much money, or I live over here, or I engage in X, Y, and Z for a living, all of it's irrelevant. Okay, Satan is using any and everybody, any and everyone, especially in this specific environment. There's no exception. So the amplification is prima facie. So in other words, the targeting activity, the targeting via means of audible activity is directly indicative to all the rest of the elements. You are amplifying audible activity because somebody is stalking in the path. In the same way, you are targeting engineered light because somebody is targeting in the path. This is what is following because all of the elements are always occurring together. You do not have one in the absence of all the rest of them. One is occurring as you're documenting it, as you're observing it, because all the rest of them are present as well. It's a matter of recognizing them. Okay, so while I'm capturing this amplified plane activity, this is letting you know that there's a stalker, and the stalker is the whole state. What I did is I documented a particular group stalker by name, and I also went to the extent so that you can see the demons that sit on the board of directors of this commercial actor, which make up LA County Board of Directors on Access, which identifies itself as a public entity. That's specifically in the provision of transportation services for the disabled. The disabled are demon possessed in LA. They're monitoring. It doesn't matter what your physical handicap is. It doesn't matter what you want to claim. Demon possession is distinct from that. And you need to learn what is legally relevant, and any claimed mental illness is not legally relevant. Also, it's not legally relevant when the entity wants to criminally defame the targeted individual, especially when you have evidence substantiating everything that you contend against that entity. What you will find is that the entity will be prosecuted and subject to mental examinations for its revealed and manifest mental illness that is caused by its condition, demon possession. Okay, and that's just nothing other than reaping what you sow. Okay, so the entity is engaging in targeting, and I'm going to show you who's group stalking in the path. All right, amplifying plane activity. This is the same exact pattern of conduct, using an airplane for purposes of crossing a path and targeting with the amplified sound of this plane. They are at a great distance, okay? And the 1.2 second it takes me to grab my phone and walk outside of my office is showing what is the impossible ability for me to hear the sound of this airplane inside of my office. And that's what I was saying. At that point, I was trying to zoom out. I must have accidentally flipped the camera to my face, and I don't need to be in the video. Okay. So I cut that out. This is where I'm continuing. All right. This is where I'm continuing because as I was zooming in, I did continue recording. And what I'm capturing is immediately access. This vehicle is on the opposite side, in other words. So what's happening? I'm in my office. The entity is targeting me by virtue of the distance and the impossible ability for me to hear that plane. This is letting you know that this is targeting by the entity who's engaged in teamwork. Group stalking is demonic criminal teamwork. Somebody is group stalking in the path. Who was that somebody? It was Access. Access is on the other side, already in position, sitting there quietly like demons, knowing what I'm doing, monitoring on communication devices, group stalking in concert with LAPD, while a plane is a means of crossing path and amplified audible activity. It's the same pattern. The same pattern, just using an airplane this time. And also assuming that I'm not going to get video documentation of that. And that's why I've got video documentation, because I want you to see when they are anticipating my getting video, the entity is aware of the fact that I'm heavily documenting stalking by the corrupt law enforcement agencies. They were taking a gamble, engaging in it, and I'm showing you who's group stalking. But let me be clear, I've already documented Access in concert with LAPD under the light source that was setting at this property, engineer light covering all over the property. I've already documented them. By the way, when I'm documenting the pattern of conduct, I'm documenting not just that particular group stalker. Do not get lost in the trees. This is documenting an entity. When I'm documenting Lucy Santos, she is engaging in criminal conduct on behalf of the whole state of California. This is an entity's crime. The state is monitoring. The state is monitoring through every single person that's in the path. One person acts, one person puts their hand on me, one person defames me with their speech. The whole state of California did it. Understand, because that's what the state is doing. The public entity itself is group stalking. The public entity is group stalking through all of the people of the state. That's why you are in the specific environment where a sun is rising and setting and engineer light is present. And when the entity is trying to hide that reality with a cloudy day, an incessant cloudy day, you can do whatever you want. You can capture the P.O.C. one time. Okay, one time. That's all you need. And I got it. I got it on more than one time. I got it for a series of months before the entity was getting a hold of actually what's happening to them via documentation. So now we've got the day, half of the day, 3/4 of the day covered up with the light source. That will never erase the record that's already captured, which, by the way, the prosecution was already sure before I came to LA and showed you that. What you are looking at is a bulletproof federal prosecution. That's what you're witnessing. And I'm teaching you about what is demonic activity. It is no respecter of persons. Demons on the board for Access, making a whole bunch of money, targeting somebody from a distance. I don't know these people, but I'm going to let you know right now, it is not, they are not ignorant, and it is not reasonable to maintain ignorance that you are ignorant about the substance of the business that's going on with regard to what board you're sitting on and what this company is actually engaged in, and it's criminal. And by the way, what's also going to result is that there will be a responsibility. You do not have any reasonable basis to contend, I don't know that my business is group stalking with the state. I didn't know that my employees were monitoring American citizens. You're going to be criminally and civilly prosecuted for that. Okay, so trying to, I don't want to say trying, well, actually I will say trying, because I'm going to let you know, first of all, it's malicious. This is how a state is monitoring. It's doing it in concert with the people, and this is how I've already established the ongoing elements which surround the demons that like to look perplexed while you are literally I'm doing backflips all around them. And I'm not bragging. What I'm saying is Satan is inferior. Satan assumed that it can bully you, and then you would never have any way of ever establishing what Satan is doing. And the fact that you're even talking about Satan, you are suffering from some mental illness. All of this are the presuppositions of engaging in a system of group stalking against an American citizen. This is what the entity maliciously conspired. Okay? All of that is a lie. Okay, now that is a trick bag that the entity is falling into, because it's not true, and it's established with evidence that everybody in the world can witness with their own eyes. Okay, we can all hear it together. You hear no plane activity, right? And you're looking at that distance. We see that together, but yet you're looking at me engaging what is a pattern. That's not speaking to the fact that it's not happening. No, it's not. And the evidence suggests that I'm not making anything up. My credibility has already been established. It's already been established. And by the way, you're talking about now, you're going into how you're going to engage in legal reasoning, legal analysis. It's very highly unlikely that the ordinary targeted individual is making up the fact that they're being targeted with audible activity through the means of a plane, when I've shown you the heavily documented group stalking using helicopter. So it's not reasonable to contend that it's different because it's a plane this time. It's the same exact pattern. And by the way, when you're engaging in what is analysis of a pattern, you are also understanding you're able to take a step back. Do not get stuck to the image. You're understanding what is a template. So you might have amplification through the use of an airplane. Okay, amplification is what you're paying attention to, not the use of that particular method. Amplification through train activity, amplification through a car, audible activity of a car or traffic, amplification of helicopter activity, amplification of mowing the lawn, tree blowers, amplification of even the sound of music that's so loud it's creating a rumble in your apartment, okay, or in your office. This is amplification. You're understanding what's the template. Do not get glued to the image because that is occurring in different methods. Okay, this is demonic activity. So all of this is already, this is what I'm showing. It's ongoing consistency with regard to a pattern. And I don't have to make up anything, and I've long established that. Okay, so there is an analytical framework which you are paying attention to. That's what you're being glued to. Excuse me, you're not going to glue yourself to the fact that the entity is only stalking by helicopter. No, the entity is heavily stalking by the state. That's establishing the prima facie case. In the specific environment, the entity is always stalking by helicopter. That's the state system. The state system is done in concert necessarily with the people of the state, and that has been the endeavor from the beginning to establish I understand that it's quite a feat to prosecute a population, and that is something that takes a term, and that's what I've been doing, documenting for years, and I have established through the body of evidence, which is speaking to a system. It's impossible to engage in that light activity, which I have years, hundreds of videos of documentation of stalking with directed light, the multiplicity of faces, people that I don't know at all places. I'm in all over in Southern California. It's impossible that I would be able to manufacture that. Second of all, it's impossible to suggest that it's anything less than a system. It's impossible. It's unreasonable. In other words, you can have some gnarly, idiotic, unreasonable contention. You can, but it's not based on analysis. It's not based on the evidence. It's not reasonable to contend. Sure. But I don't waste my time in those endeavors. I don't waste my time on that. This is fact-based. It's dispassionate. It's based on the evidence, what I was able to capture in order to prove what is, first of all, invisible, the fact that this is demonic. Okay, amplification with regard to what you can hear, and then you're looking with your eyes at what is far away. It's impossible that I can hear that, and you're looking at that pattern on an ongoing basis. And so what happened is the entity is doing it through the use of a plane and assuming that I'm not going to step out and get video documentation. And why? Because you're going to look at LA County group stalking, because that's what they were doing. On the opposite side, so I want you to see, on the opposite side of this wall is the parking lot. Access was group stalking while I'm being targeted inside of my office through the means of amplified plane activity. Group stalking, flying in the distance, and that's exactly how far you are when it takes me 1.2 seconds to pick up my phone and go out that door. And you're looking at how far they are. It's impossible that I can hear them. That's how you are getting to the conclusion of targeting. The demon possessor targeting through audible activity in the specific environment. The entity is stalking in the path in concert with the state through the means of audible activity. They are in the path, and that vehicle is a means of light. As I'm capturing the video of the entity stalking me by airplane, that's how you're getting to the conclusion of stalking through the targeting conduct, the demonic means of targeting. That's how you know that this is a demon. That's how you know that demons are surrounded, because that stalker's not acting by themselves. It's speaking to everybody else. Group stalking is a cooperative crime. Okay, the entity's engaging in what is group stalking, and I'm documenting access. That's what's going on. While I'm showing you the plane, the distance, the amplification, it's impossible that I can hear that. And then unfortunately, I zoom in because immediately access starts sounding the vehicle. They were already present, and I also want to let you know that this demon was fearful. So they immediately start, this is what's so pathetic. They're stalkers. They're scared, okay? The entity will start stalking in helicopter as I document them, but yet you're not scared enough to stop. And I'm Dominic Choi and the rest of the Los Angeles Police Department, they're going to be scared enough. They're going to be punished to the degree, and the rest of the minions in this country will be scared enough, taking heed of what this entity did not take heed of, and it could have taken heed of it a long time ago, okay? But like I said, it needs to get to the degree where the entity is fearful enough to stop it. And that's the point. The government doesn't have the right to do this to an American citizen, and you're going to learn to drop it right where it lays. You're going to learn to drop it. You're going to learn to take a seat, if you will. All right. And because the impermissible threat, that's why I'm speaking to that. Where the entity starts, where the entity is monitoring and documentation of the target individual begins, you're talking about federal prison all the way around. You're already group stalking. Any police officer documented engaged in group stalking, the state's going to federal prison, period. The state actors, any sheriff's officer, police officer group stalking, oh no. That's intolerable. You're going to federal prison. But I want to be clear, the people of the state, those that are living this intolerable level of facilitation, that's federal prison. The people of the state that are group stalking, it's not ordinarily and routinely going to be punished by federal prison. There are levels to it. You want to live and devote your life to it, you want to go to federal prison. You want to work and devote your existence, you want to go to federal prison. You want to systematically and repeatedly come back, while also you want to do it while the entity is being documented, and you know that because you're engaged in federal stalking, you want to go to federal prison. You want to engage in kidnapping, assault, and battery. You want to engage in criminal defamation. You want to go to federal prison. The entity is engaging in what is group stalking by the masses. You will be prosecuted as a group stalker where you're documented, not necessarily resulting in federal prison. But like I said, it's based on the facts and circumstances. We've well past the impermissible threat territory. So I just want to be clear. Like I said, it's not limited to Alvarado Gardens. I am honing in on these demons that want to live at a crime scene. Whatever they thought that they were going to accomplish, not only are you not accomplishing that, but to the contrary of what you thought the target individual was going to suffer, you're actually going to be put in a cage. Okay, and everything that you thought that you had or you were going to be, no, you're losing everything. And this is necessary as a matter of justice. Any and everything that can be removed as a matter of justice. You're sitting up collecting Section 8 while you're engaging in a crime with that government. No, you're not going to receive that anymore because the criminal record is going to preclude you from the ability. Federal group stalking and monitoring is going to be recognized. It's now exposed that the state is engaging. It's a state crime. It's a matter of what is terrorism in the United States, America's version of terrorism. That criminal record is going to follow you. It will preclude you from certain jobs. It will preclude you from federal housing, obviously, housing programs and benefits. It will preclude you from the ability to even be around the vulnerable in society. It's a criminal record, just like any other sex offender. But this is no ordinary sex offender. It's the state. Okay, so I want to be clear. The state is all powerful. Okay, the state is very resourceful, using any and everybody around you. That's a sex offender that you have not encountered before. Okay, that's no ordinary sex offender. Okay, so I want to make sure that you understand that this was speaking to the stalking conduct by access. And the entity is engaging in what is maintaining this environment, amplifying plane activity. And immediately as I captured this video, I walk outside. Immediately as I'm capturing this video, I'm speaking to, it's impossible that I would hear it in my office. Immediately I start speaking to the group stalker, who immediately starts sounding the vehicle. Access begins using the vehicle as a means of audible activity, which puts me on alert to group stalking, which is what I was going to do anyway, because the elements of monitoring are speaking to, again, criminal cooperative activity. So in other words, you're seeing LAPD group stalking. That's why they're driving in the parking lot. That's why they're driving up and down Alvarado. They're group stalking. They're surrounding me while I'm walking out of my office because they live in relevant position in the apartment buildings on the property. I'm already surrounded. They're moving around in the environment, okay? They're group stalking together. Demons are crawling all around. In the spirit, they're cockroaches creeping all around. You're looking at them in the natural, driving by, they're crossing path. They're walking by, they're crossing path. Okay, they're flying over, they're crossing path. All right, they're driving at a distance on Silverview townhomes, they're crossing path. They're doing it in concert with the entity that's engaging in what is this method of amplified plane activity. That's why I'm showing you it's engaged in its concerted conduct. That ongoing pattern of concerted conduct is the direct evidence against the entirety of this community that's being ceaselessly documented, okay? Including Lucy Santos, who I gave you an up-close personal sample of how her federal prosecution is going to go. And you can go down the list because all 59 units are going to get the same treatment. All 59. Okay, and then you can go to the employees of speaker companies. Okay, it's a little nuanced analysis because this is workplace terrorism as well. But this is what the entity is going to be. They're going to be prosecuted for engaging in workplace terrorism because the entity is actually monitoring you in the workplace. And so it's not limited to just the coworkers that are monitoring you. It's including Lucy Santos, who's group stalking while I'm in the workplace. You are a part of that workplace terrorism, harassment, and sexual violence. And speaker companies engaging in criminal facilitation by way of the company itself, the property, and the employees of that company. They're group stalking with those that are living at the property. They're group stalking with those that are coming onto the property. They're group stalking with the state that's stalking in helicopter and in airplanes. And speaker companies is going to be held liable for that. Okay, those are the costs. That's the debt for engaging in the state system, and it's a great cost. Okay, but by the way, it's an intricate, if you haven't noticed already, it's an intricate and detailed and elaborate criminal act against one person. Okay, so it takes quite a person to be able to articulate all of that depth, all of that detail, but I try to do it in as much of a palatable manner as I can, so that the ordinary, onlooker can understand what it is I'm talking about. And to put it in very basic terms, and now I'm speaking to those that have some legal experience with regard to criminal law prosecution. This is basically, you're gonna prosecute like any other criminal conspiracy, like I've stated. Okay, Mary Jane and Joe. Okay, Mary Jane is the state. Joe are the people of the state. The people of the state are numerous, any and everywhere that you're going. And Mary Jane and Joe, they stay around stalking the target individual. They stay around targeting the targeted. Matter of fact, let's do something on the target individual. They stay around stalking the target individual in a very specific environment. A very specific environment. Mary Jane and Joe are stalking the target individual in a very specific environment. And this environment follows wherever the target individual goes, and so do Mary Jane and Joe. That's group stalking. Okay? The entity is, and again, stalking, the elements of monitoring. It is beyond what is physical. It's also including what you can see with regard to activity creation and what you hear with regard to activity creation. Also, the unnatural aspect of it, this is revealing what is the demonic. First of all, group stalking is demonic activity. Demons are group stalking people only. That's an act of the demonic. It's a criminal act because the government has no constitutional bounds for engaging in what is stalking you. And they are engaging in what is, their obsession is because there are a bunch of demons in the government. And this is speaking to wild corruption. Okay. So that's the very basic effort to simplify what's a very intricate and detailed, and I mean there's layers to what the entity is doing. Okay, so anyway, the entity is engaging in this, and while they're targeting me, that's letting you know this is how you're going in and analysis. It's very consistent. The elements of monitoring: 3, audible activity, light activity, presence. Okay, you're present while you want to appear. Distance at a great distance. Okay, the target individual isn't making up the fact that I'm here in helicopter activity. Oh, there it is, way down there. They're crossing in the path and they're demons with the ability to target you. It is as demonic as the light activity that I've shown you above my head. Okay? That's the demonic. And not making it up, but for the P.O.C., unfortunately, it is unjust because it's being entertained. Well, it's not even being entertained. This has never been, if it's, there is no case law on it, but it is designed to result in what is the criminal defamation of the target individual. This is what Lisa Rogan engaged in. But again, I never even contended in that court, which is a group stalker, about group stalking. I never got a trial. Okay. I never engaged in what is presenting anything about the fact that the state of California is group stalking. They engaged in preempting that and immediately criminally defamed and kidnapped while they were group stalking. And by the way, the group stalker has no jurisdiction to hold any hearings or investigate itself with regard to its criminal act. This is in every way going to be within the federal jurisdiction of the, this is the federal government. They don't have any jurisdiction. They're the criminal. Okay. All right. And it's absurd to suggest anything other than that. But this is the significance of what Lisa Rogan, the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, and Thomas Garza, the San Bernardino Superior Court, engaged in evasion of service of process to avoid public exposure, my enforcement of my rights against the state of California for group stalking, and then kidnapping me via criminal defamation. And this is before there was even any trial. I didn't even make any statement, didn't even get my day in court in this fictitious prosecution. I wanted you to please hold a fake trial for me, please, because I want to document everybody, because everybody's going to federal prison. Okay, I'm already telling you how I know this is going to end. You engage in any chicanery, you want to act like you're a judge with jurisdiction, I dare you, because you're going to federal prison. I dare you. And a lot of them did that. And I remember their names. I have documented their bar numbers. And any evidence that they unlawfully removed, which the Ontario Police Department did. And Patty of the Ontario Police Department, she's going to federal prison for a long time. Okay, they got rid of evidence against itself while they were engaged in kidnapping me. But the entity is going to face serious time for that. No one has forgotten. And like I said, the pattern of conduct is already established. So I'm going to be, excuse me, federal government, don't forget this person and this bar number because they committed this on this act, and they removed, they destroyed the evidence of it. That's exactly how that's going to go. Okay. So I just want to let you know the entity is engaged in what is targeting through the audible activity, amplification using a plane, amplification using a helicopter, amplification using the sound of a child that you don't even see anybody, and it's loud, reverberating. The amplification of the sound of a demon walking up and down the stairs, and it's reverberating inside of your apartment. Okay, the apartment walls are not that thin. This is not how this property is built. All right, you're talking about demons that are targeting, and you can identify it through the audible activity. And this is also logically what follows when you're looking at everything else that's demonic, the light source, the engineer light, okay, the heavy duty stalking by the state. One is indicative of the other. In addition to my ability and what I have already established, I've established them unilaterally, okay, each one of them, each aspects of the P.O.C., but I'm also showing you how one is indicative of the other. when you're seeing one, it lets you know that the rest of them are there. You have to pay attention and recognize it. All right. So the entity is engaging what is targeting via plane activity. And who is stalking on the opposite side? They immediately start sounding the vehicle. That's Access. Okay. And Access is a state actor. This is speaking to the state of California that is a group stalker. And that's why you have the public entity going by the name of Access group stalking while I'm being targeted with amplified audible activity. And it is unreasonable to contend, as you are sitting on the board, that you are ignorant of this matter of public corruption that's occurring under the guise of your company name. And even if you want to contend that in federal court with a straight face, you will still be civilly and criminally prosecuted the same. Okay, but I want to let you know what is malice, and this is public corruption, and this is occurring, again, these business owners, Amazon Prime, these company owners, these property owners, okay, our Todd Speaker, you're not ignorant about that, and it's not reasonable that you're ignorant, so you can claim ignorance all you want, but it is not, under any circumstances, going to avoid civil and criminal prosecution. It is not, it is no longer a secret that the government is corrupt. In California, and I don't support anarchy, but the government's crimes are the government's crimes. You want to be a criminal, you're not going to be treated like some exception. Oh, we're going to keep it hush hush, or we're going to sign some NDA and sign. No, none of that. None of that is happening. This is important for you to know. It is not a fallacy. It's not fiction that the government is corrupt and it's keeping American citizens under surveillance. Okay, so since you know that, this is how they're doing it. Okay, and criminal monitoring. And so the entity is engaged in what is criminal monitoring. This is putting the rest of the country on notice. If you did not know, okay, well, now you know. And the P.O.C. is a very detailed and elaborate means, very detailed and over a term of years, documenting a corrupt government that are engaging in not only a criminal system of surveillance, but also the criminal system of trying to avoid exposure, which is so despicable. Okay, and it's shared by not just the LAPD. Let me be clear. The LAPD is acting on behalf of the state of California in the same way that Amazon Prime is acting on behalf of all of the people of the state. Lucy Santos can be sitting at her desk or wherever it is that she works. Okay, where I won't have any jokes. Wherever it is that she works, okay, she's being documented right now. Her work schedule is no exception to the criminal system. She's engaged in a crime committed by the government. Okay, so they're playing hand tag, you're it, your turn. This is what they're doing against one person. In the same way that the entity is acting in concert and on behalf of the people of the state, Lucy Santos is the people of the state. The people of the state are acting in concert and on behalf of the state of California. The state actors, Access is a state actor. That's a public entity. Where the government is acting directly, I'm letting you know they're acting on behalf of the whole state. This is what the state is doing. This is how you're going to prosecute. And not only that, where you're documenting, for example, the Department of Motor Vehicles, you're documenting and exposing the whole state. That's a prosecution against the state of California. And with regard to what is the condition, it's also letting you know you're talking about a demon-possessed population that's practicing federal group stalking and monitoring in the state. And it's also revealed in the environment. So the LAPD is engaged in an ongoing provision of evidence against the entirety of the state of California. And in the same way that the entity is group stalking, and Lucy Santos is going to be held accountable in federal court at her prosecution, which will be individualized at that state for the ongoing criminal system that the people of the state engaged in concert with the state of California. And her work schedule shall be no legal argument or excuse or removal. Okay, the entity is engaged in, and this is the reality of the criminal conspiracy that exists between the state that's acting in concert with the people of the state. Mary Jane and Joe acting as one against a targeted individual, an ongoing ceaseless system. All right, tag team. Anybody can come onto the grounds engaging in the P.O.C. Anybody, just come onto the grounds engaging in the same system. Okay, Lucy Santos, while she's on her job, presenting her work schedule, oh, Your Honor, I wasn't at work. It's legally irrelevant. That system is underway. You're going to be prosecuted for any and everything that entity engaged in, which you are a part of. Okay, so like I said, the entity is engaged in an ongoing system. I'm going to get back to what Access is doing. Access is group stalking on this side, while the entity is amplifying plane activity. And you're looking at what is the inevitable conclusion. It's amplification, as I've termed it, and amplification equals targeting, because it's impossible that I would be able to hear when you're looking at the distance. You're looking at the same pattern when you're seeing them stalking in a helicopter. Amplification equals stalking. Amplification is occurring because group stalking is occurring. Okay? It is prima facie case. Engineer light is present because stalking, group stalking in particular, is occurring. Okay? One is indicative of the other. Access is on the opposite side of the wall. So I have beat that point enough. So I want you to see what I captured. Access is immediately sounding the vehicle as a means of audible activity. They were monitoring me as I sat in my office, and that plain activity is underway. They're also engaged in federal stalking on the video of the internet. Immediately, this state actor, because it's not a third party, it's recognized as a public entity, so this is going to be prosecuted as the state acting directly. And the entity is using this vehicle as a means of light activity and audible activity as I'm capturing video of it. And so I'm standing in front of the vehicle, and you need to understand what was going on as I was capturing the amplified plain activity. This was group stalking that was underway by Access, who's engaged in criminal presence, who was then engaging which is engaging in the elements of monitoring. Presence, that's group stalking. You're in the path. That's engaging in an element of monitoring. They then begin engaging in the activity creation, audible activity and light activity creation. That's what they're engaging in. And I'm capturing this on video. And then you're just looking at, when you're looking at the elements of monitoring, and you're not marrying yourself to the image. Very malicious, very deceptive. That's the word. Very deceptive when you want to appear compassionate, and you're looking at the viciousness of demons that are targeting someone, and it is intentionally making what is supposed to be a compassionate appearance, an innocent appearance. There's nothing innocent. It's actually very highly malicious. And when you understand the elements of monitoring that are underway, that's when you're seeing how despicable it is. That's when you're seeing how demonic, how wicked, and how criminal it is. And I want to be clear, this aged person on a cane is living at a crime scene. This aged person on a cane, look at the same exact video, which if I'll go ahead and look for it. I'll go ahead and make a promise. I wasn't going to do it, but I'll go ahead and make a promise. I will show, I will remind you about video documentation again, because receipts are important. You can look at the same pattern of conduct, Center for Better Life, coming onto the grounds, which is again, LA County, coming onto the property over and over again, group stalking. And what do they want to appear? As though somebody's going to forget that the light source is there. Somebody's going to forget you're referencing the corrupt law enforcement agency. He made a threat driving that vehicle stating, you're going to call the police. That's a demon and that's a psychopath. And that's going to result in mental examinations. You're literally going to be put in a straitjacket. They're stalking with the LAPD, who are present in that video, stalking in helicopter. Like, you're stalking together and then they're referencing them. I'm going to call the police. That's a demon. Okay, you're recognizing demons not only by their presence and their activity creation, but by literally the audible activity that comes out of the demon-possessed mouths. Okay, so I want you to recognize that high level of malice, this is hitting my person and then stating, don't hit me. That's what that demon, Gabriel Arriaga Carbajal, that's the behavior of the demon-possessed. Okay, that's revealing a psychotic mind state. That psychotic mind state is just running loose right now. Okay, ticking time bombs that are surrounding us in the state of California. The people of the state, the demon possessed, and they're a part of law enforcement agencies. They're sitting on boards, such as Access, board of directors. All right, so this is group stalking. I want to make sure you can see Access. I'm capturing the plain activity in the previous video, and I'll combine that with this one. This is a method of light activity and crossing a path. They're coming up and picking up the people of the state, like 18. This is a state actor. He's not an innocent bystander. He's working for a company that is engaged in a criminal system. Okay, so like I said, he represents a workforce. As a part of their business, they are simultaneously engaged in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, targeting American citizens. And nobody sitting on the board of directors of Access are ignorant nor reasonably capable of suggesting that they're ignorant, in the same way that Dominic Choi is not ignorant and may not reasonably contend that he's ignorant about the corruption that the LAPD are engaging in. Okay, so this is, in federal court, it's not going to be, no one's going to be given that leeway either. This is public corruption. And so this is exposure that's been a long time coming. Okay, so their workforce, in the same way that Amazon Prime are hiring the demon possessed, and they are systematically engaged in surveillance in concert with a corrupt government. This is, I have documented so many Amazon Prime workers. This is not an ongoing coincidence. All right, this is what is going on in the state of California. And Amazon Prime is not ignorant, nor can you reasonably contend that you're ignorant of that your workforce are a bunch of demons and they're engaged in criminal activity, supposedly secret system. Okay, and it's not secret anymore. And neither is your demon possession. And then you're going up higher. So then you're getting to the business owners, the property owners, okay, the board of directors. And they are not ignorant nor reasonably capable of maintaining some stance of ignorance. Oh, I didn't know. And when you're prosecuted civilly and criminally, the fact that you want to state that you don't know, people are just going to be like, yeah, okay. And you're still going to pay those damages, and you're still going to be published as a group stalker, period. Okay, the government shall not have any means of resources by these property owners, by these company owners. And that's how you're breaking that whole system down. You don't want to be documented, you don't want to be a part of it, then I suggest from here on out, because you're getting that prosecution. You're paying those damages. Okay, from here on out, I suggest you do something about it. It is creating an obligation, because now the world is aware that this is occurring in the United States. Nobody can maintain it as a fallacy, singularly maintained by somebody that's a paranoid schizophrenic, because that's the pattern of conduct. That's the fallacy that's out there, and that's deliberate. Okay, so the entity, the workforce for access, they're hiring those that are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and he is monitoring me while the entity is targeting me inside of my office with plain activity. And LAPD is also monitoring while this method of audible activity is employed. Okay, this is speaking to what is, again, federal prison. It is currently, while helicopter activity is occurring, it's 3:37. So the entity is engaging in what is the maintenance of this specific environment, and this this is a state actor that is also maintaining the specific environment through the use of this vehicle. And he was moving it around. He goes into the parking spot, he reverses out of the parking spot, and he parks in this manner. This is all method of what is light activity. As they're put in reverse, they start beeping. That's audible activity. As he's using the vehicles and the reverse lights, this is light activity. And this is, again, occurring, the elements of what you're paying attention to. And then you have the demon possessed that create a picture that they want you to be married to in your mind. Oh, he's helping the little old lady get back to her apartment. He's doing good. He's doing good. Okay? You're understanding what is the despicable and the malicious demon-possessed actors, state actors, and third parties who are monitoring and group stalking. And this is exactly what it looks like. And what are you paying attention to? The exact same elements. And don't forget that this is the same property where you've already seen the engineer light in my bedroom, the engineer light in my office, my shadow appearing upright in the shade, the engineer light in the laundry room, the sun that's present through that windows of that laundry room from 8:47 in the morning until 4:18 in the p.m. 4:18 p.m. in the same laundry room outside the window, the engineer light appearing upright on the wall, multiple shadows appearing all over the ceiling. That engineered light covers all of the property. That's what they're driving in. They're all engaged in concerted conduct with a heavily documented group stalker that are the LAPD. All right, this is everything that you're mindful of, while the entity wants and is hoping that you forget all of that and you just focus on the scene. They just want you to look at what they're putting in front of you. He's helping the old lady, okay? The old lady is a demon-possessed group stalker. Satan does not discriminate with regard to age, physical handicap, race, linguistics. None of that is relevant. None of it. It all breaks down into activity creation. This is demonic activity. Okay? And this is what you're looking at, the elements are in the way. This is a method of light activity and crossing a path. They're coming up and picking up the people of the state, like 1810 number 4. Center for Better Life, who comes and picks up 1810 number 4. And they're engaging in the elements of monitoring and doing so. They're acting in So what I'm referencing right now is, while you're looking at this scene, somebody dropping off an aged third party who's on a cane, which is supposed to create the appearance before your eyes as somebody that's innocent. There's nobody that's innocent in the engineered light in the specific environment where the state is group stalking directly. Okay, everybody's group stalking in that environment. And that's the substance of the P.O.C, the state system that the people of the state are inevitably and inextricably linked to. And they go to the degree to establish the fact that they're both demons and group stalkers with the engineered light, which is speaking to, again, not just that driver with the engineered light. That's speaking to, that tells on everybody. It's not some exception. You see the light source over me at the property. Everybody in that environment is group stalking. It's not just 52 of the apartments and then the other 7 are accepted. They're not group stalking. That's not what's happening, and that's not the system, and that's not what the evidence reveals either. And neither is that reasonable. Okay, this is a group stalking system in the entirety of that population, and this is why you're going to the extent of maintaining a specific environment over Alvarado Gardens, where I remain, and then what's supposed to be the natural environment over everybody else. Because this light source, the light activity, as you've seen it documented, not today, not this light source now, But this is everything that you're remembering when you're looking at iteration after iteration after iteration of the same POC. Okay, and you're looking at the elements of light. The vehicle is the method of light and audible activity creation and presence, and present in concert with the method of amplified audible activity. Okay, there's no exception. It's not just him. It's not just access that's group stalking. All of the population is monitoring and group stalking while I am surrounded by that activity. And access is picking up the load, engaging in that activity creation. In fact, they were monitoring while that targeted method of audible activity was underway. Okay, I go around to show you what is with regard to no exception of engaging in that. And it's not just that I don't care. It's literally irrelevant whether they're hunched over on a cane or whether there's some young vital group stalker who you saw in the black scrubs running to her car while LAPD was flying over in helicopter. That's a demon. And the old one hunched over on a cane is a demon. Group stalking the same, in concert with the same entity. Same life-threatening criminal system, by the way. You're not looking at and analyzing the threat based on that third-party group stalker that's hunched over on a cane. That's the state. That's the threat to your life. It doesn't matter what that individual, it's not the individualization of that person. This is also what the entity doesn't understand about the crime that it's being prosecuted for. The analysis surrounding the criminal system and this demonic activity that they're practicing. They don't even understand it. The entity is engaging in what is creating a threat, and they are in the shoes of the state. The state is threatening you through the presence of that third-party group stalker that's hunched over on a cane. And by the way, that's entirely threatening while you are, I would like to say, maliciously concealing all of that threat and state presence through such a malicious actor, such as a third party hunched over on a cane. That's malice. That's also impunity. Very, very despicable. LAPD are using minor children the same as they are using 20-something-year-olds, the same as they are using aged group stalkers like the Ons of 1818 apartment number 4 at Alvarado Street. Kun Kang, 91 years old, at 1800 North Alvarado Street apartment number 2. Okay. You have what is Tai Yim of 1810 North Alvarado Street apartment number 4. Using all the same exact presence, same exact environment, same exact group stalking on behalf of the state. Okay? Hoping that you are married to some sort of image of what a criminal or what a group stalker or what a demon-possessed person, or hoping, in other words, that you're not paying attention to what I'm talking to. But I am aware of the fact that you're going to learn a lot. You will learn a lot, and you are not so ignorant and so simple-minded that you're not going to be able to follow what's going on. The entity is hoping that you will. Hoping that you will be deceived, and hoping that in that deception somehow you're going to find some sort of legally relevant argument with regard to the absence of the pattern of conduct, which is not ever going to happen, whether you want to learn from this, agree with it, listen to it or not. It's not about your opinion, okay? I'm spreading with regard to publishing and sharing the reality of what's going on. I'm also prosecuting based on facts and evidence, not on anyone's opinion. So I don't ever miss that. But this is serving for the benefit of the public, because this is learning what criminal conduct looks like, the highly deceptive methods of engaging in what is public corruption, a very corrupt government that is maliciously acting through the old biddy that's supposed to have the appearance of innocence. That's what this is. That's what this is. Also, doesn't matter the logo that's on the vehicle. Amplified plane activity, speaking to targeting, concerted presence with regard to the elements of monitoring underway. This is P.O.C. This is presence and activity creation. You're going to pay attention to the elements of monitoring that's underway. The vehicle is light activity, and the people of the state are pacing up and down Alvarado Street. They're pacing in and out of the property of Silverview Townhomes, just like you've already seen. LAPD is stalking in the same. They're already stalking. They've already established that for us. Thankfully, we don't even have to establish that. You know that they're stalking. So all the elements are present, and you're looking at the same criminal system underway from you're supposed to forget all of that and just focus on the old biddy. There's no crime here. There's no possible way. She doesn't even know what's going on. Okay? It's the P.O.C. and demonic activity, demon possession. It's very highly deceptive, very malicious. That's how it's going to be prosecuted in federal court. We don't have to sit around talking about demons and ghouls, because that's not how federal prosecution is going to be processed or addressed or articulated in federal court. Legal language, legal analysis, facts and circumstances. In a tribunal, tangible things that we can all see and we can all speak, we can reason together. Okay, and that's how Satan is going to be treated, like the criminal that it is, using people who are engaging in crimes, providing evidence that you can see. Okay, and it is highly deceptive, and you're going to get right past that very thin veneer and look at the same exact criminal system. Okay.
Have a good day, okay? See you next time, okay?
Now, what I was referencing earlier is the fact that you're looking at the same thing, for example, with Center for Better Life coming to pick up Ty Yim of 1810 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 4. And every time coming referencing, well, not every time. One time on video, I captured the threat. He's going to serve time in federal prison for that. What the state said, using his mouthpiece to communicate a threat. Those demons of the LAPD communicating a threat. Oh, I'm going to call the police. The police that are stalking. This is a threat to engage in kidnapping. Okay, the entity has engaged in that before, but nonetheless, that's a very serious threat coming out of the mouth of a demon possessed. Number one, highly malicious group stalker who is undocumented, engaged in terrorism via directed light. This is a psychopath that's referencing the corrupt law enforcement agency while they're engaging in the commission of a crime with that agency. That's a very serious threat. That's documented on video. And a repeat offender, impunity and malice documented while repeatedly coming up and engaging in the same thing what you're seeing here, picking up what's supposed to be an innocent bystander, creating some sort of exception. This is an illusion. This is the delusion of the demon possessed. They're delusional. Okay, that is not what's going to happen. And that is not what the facts suggest. That's not what the system reveals. Okay, but this is showing impunity and malice and what is, again, the public safety concerns, the ongoing obsessive endeavor to continue doing the same thing. And it's going to result in 90 some odd years old, 80 some odd year old, 70 year old, some odd years old, 60 some odd years old, which is shameful. They're all going to federal prison. Right? The entity is engaging in the same system while you're looking at a very vibrant, spectacular mode of group stalking where Center for Better Life has directed light all over the apartment building while they're crossing path, doing the exact same thing, coming to pick up an old biddy, okay, where no crime is possibly happening, coming to pick up the old biddy. They're doing good in the community. And you're looking at the light source and the engineer light all over the building while LAPD is in that same video stalking in a helicopter. And all of this is occurring, which you're going to also juxtapose to a whole other system that I document. Well, it's the same system, a whole other region where the entity surrounded me with the environment as though that is the natural environment as the sun was rising and setting in an entirely different region. That's what you are cognizant of all of that while you're looking at the criminal conduct that's underway. This is called malice. You're looking at demonic activity. And I want you to remember the engineered light. I want you to remember the light source. I want you to remember actors such as Center for Better Life doing the same thing. This is the same props, demonic activity, and engineered light moving across surfaces. It's the same system. That's P.O.C. This is crossing a path conduct while the plane is amplifying plane activity inside of my office. This demon's in position, monitoring together, okay? P.O.C. That's the license AWL. Method of light activity. This is Ledesma again, group stalking, just like she was. They come onto the ground, engage in what is cooperative group stalking. All they're doing is coming onto the grounds of the property. They're engaging in the same system. Everybody that's engaging in this system as a means of living here goes to federal prison for that. Okay, you want to repeatedly come onto the grounds, like I said, you go to federal prison for that. You want to work and engage in group stalking, you go to federal prison for that. You want to engage in assault and battery as an entity engaged in federal group stalking, you go to federal prison for that. And if you're already subject to federal prison, you're facing more time in federal prison for that. And it's a crime that's not individualized. The whole entity is a documented aggressor engaging in physical violence against against the targeted individual. Okay, the state of California engaged in assault and battery while keeping an American citizen under surveillance. That's what the state committed when the demons that are Gabriel Arriaga Carbajal and Jocelyn, I believe, Arriaga, engaged in a documented act of violence. And every bit of their demon possession you can see in that video, including the light source hovering over me on Alvarado Street at 5:21 in the afternoon. A whole body of evidence showing how that is never, ever the natural environment. They're driving in the directed light. They're engaging in violence under the directed light, in the directed light, under the light source. I mean, a whole lot of people are going to federal prison, a lot. And I don't rejoice in that. I'm letting you know what justice requires. And it is a long time coming. So in addition to this criminal system, what I wanted to show you is that there are those who are sitting on the board of directors for Access. maintaining presence. This demon's already in position. As I'm capturing the video of the plane, which is at a great distance, which I cannot hear in my office, that's how you're recognizing, first of all, demonic, secondly, targeting. Immediately picking up activity is access. And this is LA County. I want you to see the faces, the multiple races, and I want you to see the faces of those that are sitting on the board for access, which is a public entity, engaged in state monitoring. And that's exactly what I provided for you. So I went to the effort to show you the faces of those that are group stalking by virtue of facilitation, sitting on a board of directors where they are sitting on a board of directors as those who are not reasonably capable of suggesting to the public, because the world's going to know what access is and what access is facilitating and engaging simultaneously while providing what is supposedly, again, the compassion that of the services that they're providing to the public, while they're engaged in the highly despicable and malicious criminal system and practice of demonic activity of targeting an American citizen. This is what access is actually engaging in. Okay, and this is what the entity does not tell you about. Okay, and this is speaking to the board of directors, 9 of them, and it includes the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, the City Selection Committee, Corridor Transportation Representatives. I'm sorry. Access is governed by 9 board of directors and with 1 appointment by each of those that are listed on here. You can read my documentation earlier. You can always zoom in. I try to take good pictures so that you can zoom in and read it on your own. This is for purposes of the public's ability to read it. Okay, this is unadulterated, raw documentation exposing a government. Their names, their faces, okay? And then you're talking about a whole other level of exposure when the world is told at one time about what a corrupt government is doing and who it's doing it in concert with, who it's doing it through. And that's why it's important that you see their faces. And they will give explanations, which I guarantee you, will not satisfy you, because there's nothing that you can say to suggest that you're ignorant about this. This is the state system. Okay, you're mindful of all the body of evidence, the years of evidence speaking to a state system, and then you're going to sit on a board of directors and say, I have no idea. I had no idea. I'm getting paid hundreds and thousands of dollars a year to hold my position, and I have no clue about state monitoring and that targeting an American citizen, and I'm sitting on the board of directors. That's what they're going to tell you, okay? And it's unreasonable. And I'm also going to let you know that it's a lie, okay? These are the names of those that are sitting on the board of directors. This is, again, speaking to the names of those that are engaging in what is groups. They're group stalkers. This is what's going on in the state of California, and it's seamlessly, systematically happening. It's so convenient for them to engage any random dumpster truck. They engage in the system of monitoring on an ongoing basis. This demonic system is rampant. Any and everywhere that you go, there is facilitation. Okay. No, they're not ignorant about it. And this is the ability to expose those names that not only are they not ignorant, I'm going to let you know, even if they try to with a straight face contend ignorance. I did not know. I resigned today. I would never. They can do that all they want. I want to let you know what their condition is. You're looking, again, in the same way that the police chief, in the same way that the property owner and the business owner, Speaker companies, and Todd Speaker, the employees. His employees and his those that are living on his property, acting in concert with the state. The system, the criminal system, is already laid out with regard to what they're doing and how they do it, and then holding those that are in positions of power, in positions of authority, in positions of control, holding them accountable and exposing them, and then they're feigning ignorance. And I want to let you know that this is revealing what is public corruption on a massive scale, and you need to see their faces and you need to know their names and recognize their names, and that whatever they want to claim to be ignorant about or know about, all of it's irrelevant with regard to their exposure and their prosecution. You're going to be documented by facilitation. Group stalking, remember, it's not only based on your ownership or your presence or relevant position, or you're engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet. If your business, if your property, all right, if some tool that you're using, that's how you'll be documented, because it's the same resources that the government is using against one person. This is empowering that person to prosecute by any documentary means that you have at your disposal. That is flipping that mouse, that bully system on its head. Okay. And that is necessary as a matter of justice because of all that the entity is putting against one person, including in the courts where you cannot go to seek any redress. They want to defame you in the courts, and they're monitoring in the courts. They're demons sitting on the bench. They're demons practicing law, making up information, making up names, making up hearings, making up supportive information with regard to what is serving to in whatever result that they determine in the rooms of those courthouses where criminal activity is underway. And that's just putting it in a very succinct, simplified matter. I've documented the specific environment at these courthouses specifically that I'm going to prosecute. I've documented the entity making up information, making up literally names, making up, and by making up, I mean literally manufacturing it, having someone come on a stand and testify, signing under the penalty of perjury documents. I had a conversation with Miss Spencer and I'm diagnosing this, and she's revealing this and showing signs of this. I'm making it up while they were engaged in kidnapping. Never had a conversation. I know my rights, I know the law, and I also know that you can just refuse to speak to them. So you can kidnap me all you want, but I'm not going to talk to you. And you are not making any diagnosis when you are getting absolute silence. I'm not even acknowledging your presence. In fact, I'm in that facility being kidnapped, holding up signs showing my bar number, showing the fact that I am a officer of the court, showing the fact that I have been denied an arraignment. I've been held in court for days. The fact that the names of the judges, the names and bar numbers of the attorneys who are exercising fictitious authority while the entity is engaged in federal stalking, while the entity is documented engaged in group stalking. I'm pointing out the pattern of conduct. Again, this is everything that's showing on the camera while I'm not addressing them. The entity that is monitoring that's engaged in group stalking is maliciously, falsely depicting that evidence of what is under no circumstances a mental illness. They're, she's delusional. Don't listen to, what targeting. This is what they're engaging in the facilities. And that requires, again, that's a plain kidnapping on its face. Okay. Knowing my bar number, you're trying to falsely depict an attorney as mentally ill. An attorney that's clearly reciting the facts and what happened and the rights that you're violating. How are you suggesting in any way that that person is delusional on its face? And then you're denying that person court hearings, never entering a court, stating that there are court hearings, driving me to the courthouse just to keep me in the cell and drive me right back to the jail so that on camera it looks like I went to court. And then you're making up information about what happened in court. That's how you engage in kidnapping. That's how you maintain a paper trail when you're engaging in kidnapping, keeping somebody on the record as though you have some case against them, and all you're doing is group stalking in that facility, keeping the light source and engineer light, group stalking with the people, group stalking with those demons that call themselves mental health professionals. So I'm going to digress from that. This is the entity that's engaging in this sort of system, and you are not reasonably maintaining any sort of position of ignorance when this criminal system is documented on your watch. This is revealing what is public exposure. And these are all the places where this access is present. And want to be clear, Foothill Transit is a heavily documented group stalker, replete with the light source and engineered light. Those are demons driving those buses. Pay attention to the documentation captured at the Pomona Transit Center, for example, and engineered light moving all across buildings, moving all across the curbs, while the Pomona Police Department are group stalking, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department are group stalking, the people of the state are group stalking. All right, that's speaking to a system. And Lucy Santos has no legally relevant argument while she's living at the crime scene and engaged in that system. Okay, that's a government that's targeting you with the people. Okay, and that's how you're understanding how you're prosecuting that criminal conspiracy. These are the people that are sitting on the board that are engaging in this criminal act that I just documented today. All right, this is the same person that captured more than one image of them. And this is just for purposes of exposing what this entity, what the state of California is engaging in. These are the faces that are responsible for the criminal system that is targeting an American citizen. And they're sitting up making a lot of money. They make a lot of money doing what they do. And they are, again, engaging in what is criminal at the same time, very highly malicious. And this is what the state of California is actually concealing. All right. And it's not just that. I want to be clear. A lot of the demon possessed, like I said, they maintain coveted positions. They maintain lucrative positions. And it's very, very wicked, the ways in which they obtain them and what's actually occurring while you don't know what's actually occurring behind the scenes while they're holding this position. They're sitting on the board of a company that's engaged in state surveillance. In concert with the corrupt law enforcement agency, they are fully engaged, entrenched in the pattern of conduct, fully entrenched in it. The hallmark, okay? Amplified audible activity. Engaging in what is present at the specific environment. This is the environment where, and also there's more than one video documentation of access. Acting, again, in concert with the entity in the specific environment where you will see engineer light covering all of the property. The entity is just having a field day. Again, this is how Satan acts when it thinks that it's getting away with something. This is how Satan acts when it does not understand what's coming. Very foolish, okay? Not just on the face of Dominic Choi and the LAPD, which is the state of California. You're talking about the people that are going to be prosecuted with this evidence because the people are acting with the state. That conspiracy is already established. Okay, you're dragging each other at this point. I'm not dragging you with regard to the documentation. You're dragging each other, okay? By drag, I'm speaking in the vernacular, meaning you are literally destroying your criminal co-conspirator. And that's exactly what they are. While you provide this, you just keep giving me the evidence. You keep giving it to me. Now, I went out and I sought it. I've already established it. But at this point, I'm literally just, oh, okay, 3:30. Oh, okay, 4:45. Okay, 4:15, 4:16, 4:17. Continuously engaging in the crime. That's what they're doing at this point. Okay, and it's evidence that's going to go against people who are sitting on board of directors. All right, a part of companies that are engaging in the state system. And you are not reasonably maintained as some person that's ignorant about it. And so you do need to see these faces. They are a part of what is a system of corruption in the state of California. And they are, by virtue of holding these positions, not capable of maintaining ignorance. You have a responsibility. And you not only are no longer capable of maintaining some position of being far removed and detached. It's not reasonable that these people in these positions of authority and control and power are ignorant. I want to let you know that they know exactly what's going on. But nonetheless, because I'm showing you what's demonic activity, but nonetheless, even aside from that, because this is my documentation, so they can say, they're going to say whatever they want to say. It's not avoiding the federal repercussions, but even if so, it's creating what is a responsibility. No one can feign ignorance anymore. And there will be responsibility held amongst the people of the state. This is in every way deconstructing this system. All right, the system that's relying on the people. So anyway, it is currently, this was a lengthy discussion. It's 4:02 p.m. This is the pattern of conduct. The entity is still group stalking, so let me go ahead and capture that. Yeah, amplifying helicopter activity. And which the entity was doing while I was also throughout my whole discussion. All right, it's impossible that I'm going to hear helicopter activity in my office. Okay, I'm not wearing some sort of gear on my person or some sort of earplug that's turning up the volume of everything. That's how you know demons are targeting. You also know that they're targeting because they're in relevant position. They're all monitoring. This is a crime committed by a population. That's why you have the sunrise and the sunset, as I've already documented here. Covering up the light source at this point is not in any way forgetting what was already captured, which is never naturally occurring. A sun that's here at 5 in the evening, 4 in the evening, 3 in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon, 1 in the afternoon, 12 in the afternoon, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. It's all impossible. They're surrounded. And then you have the directed light conduct, the light that you've seen inside of my office. Nobody can reasonably contend ignorance with regard to the state system that I'm documenting and exposing. No one can. So that's why you need to see their faces. They can provide whatever explanation they want to at that point of exposure on the world scene. But it's not, and under no circumstance is it relevant for the price that you're going to pay in federal court. It's currently 4:03 p.m. This is P.O.C.